Did you like The Nun II? Well, here are 3 more movies that you should watch. Number 1, The Da Vinci Code. Although not a horror film, this is another movie that focuses on the unraveling of a religious mystery, and features the search for a lineage-based relic. Number 2, The Exorcist III. This is a good option if you want another horror franchise supernatural mystery investigation. The Exorcist III is loosely connected to the first Exorcist film, and is a bit of a change in direction for that franchise, functioning as a serial killer police procedural for much of its runtime before pivoting in the third act to something much more supernaturally over the top. Number 3, The Conjuring 2. Maybe you just want some more of the Nun. This was the franchise introduction of the character, and although she was featured much more prominently in 2018's The Nun, the story and technical aspects of The Conjuring 2 are far superior to that film.